Joe Biden has actually set about by signing a whole host of executive orders, and something that has caught the attention of a lot of people is in fact the fact that he has extended the last of the remaining nuclear agreements between the United States and Russia for another 5 years. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, in fact, also went on to confirm this development on Thursday. Listen in.
I can confirm that the United States intends to seek a 5-year extension of New START as the treaty permits. The President has long been clear that the New START treaty is in the national security interests of the United States, and this extension makes even more sense when the relationship with Russia is adversarial, as it is at this time. New START is the only remaining treaty constraining Russian nuclear forces and is an anchor of strategic stability between our two countries.
Now, the landmark agreement is called the New Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or the New START Treaty. The treaty expires on the 5th of February. Washington and Moscow signed New START for a period of 10 years in 2011 when President Joe Biden was serving in the capacity of a vice president to Barack Obama. Now, what does this landmark nuclear deal actually entail? Now, simply put, the agreement limits the size of the two countries' nuclear arsenals, meaning that the United States and Russia cannot deploy more than 1,550 strategic nuclear warheads against each other. Now, during his tenure, former President Donald Trump had failed to reach an agreement with Russia to keep the key deal alive, despite the fact that Russia had expressed its desire to renew the deal quite a few times over the course of the last year. The report suggests that Russia's ambassador to the United States planned to meet with President Joe Biden's national security advisor Jake Sullivan on Thursday. Note that when combined, the United States and Russia account for 93% of all nuclear warheads in the world. And experts fear that a new, larger arms race could actually entail if this treaty were to actually break down. Now, despite plans for an agreement on the arms deal, the White House press secretary said that the United States still plans to investigate Russia for a number of grievances. This includes the SolarWinds cyber hack, alleged bounties on U.S. troops, and also the possibility of the interference in the 2020 elections as well as poisoning of the Kremlin's staunch critic Alexei Navalny. The Biden administration plans to hold Russia accountable with possible sanctions.
Even as we work with Russia to advance U.S. interests, so too we work to hold Russia to account for its reckless and adversarial actions. And to this end, the President is also issuing a tasking to the intelligence community for its full assessment of the SolarWinds cyber breach, Russian interference in the 2020 election, its use of chemical weapons against opposition leader Alexei Navalny, and the alleged bounties on U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan.
All right, now our colleague Jagriti Dave is still with us live from Washington, D.C. Jagriti, the question that I want to ask you is, under President Donald Trump, the relationship that the United States had with Russia was pretty different, where Trump was not willing to take a tough stance against Russia. But what will Joe Biden's approach be with Russia?
Yeah, I think foreign policy is one of those areas where we're going to see a lot of changes, I think, at least because Joe Biden has talked about returning America to the international stage, renewing those alliances. So I think, European allies of Washington will most certainly welcome the extension, the US's intention to extend this treaty for another 5 years. We had Jens Stoltenberg say that we should not end up in a situation with no limitation on nuclear warheads, and New START will expire within days, that expiration date being February the 5th. So you've got NATO, you've got these alliances which really kind of fell by the wayside under the Trump administration, being renewed. The intention of renewing those relationships will, be a very positive thing. And I think Russia is one of those countries, like China, where it forms as part of that nexus of U.S. relationships with its allies, both in Europe and in the Asia Pacific. So I think you'll see more decisions like this coming from the Biden administration.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Jagriti Dave, for joining us and getting us all those updates there.
Co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.